Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition is the most popular tabletop RPG in the world, and that is not a controversial statement to make. And while Wizards of the Coast, the company that makes the game, has tons of amazing products that they make officially for players to play through or use at their table, they don't always have, they don't have everything. So today I'm going to show you a bunch of really cool third-party supplements that I've bought, that I've tried out, that I think you could add to your games to spice them up. Let's get into it. Battle maps are a huge deal when it comes to Dungeons & Dragons. Whenever you have combat going on, or even if you're just delving through a dungeon, you need something for everything to take place on, for everyone to interact with the creatures and fight and move your minis around if you're playing physically and in person. And while there's tons of virtual tabletop options, some of the options you get in person aren't always your best deal. I mean, for years we had one giant dry erase battle map, and we would draw every single room, every single hallway, and everything by ourselves and kind of imagine what it actually looks like. So it was more of like an outline of what the dungeon may look like. But that's going to change for you today, because let me introduce you to the giant book of battle mats. This thing is amazing. I've been using it for the past couple of sessions with my players, and I don't think I'm ever going to not use something like this again. First of all, in the very back of the book, you get an entire blank battle mat. I mean, this is literally what I've been using for the longest time, is just dry erasing on one of these. But even better, you get tons and tons of these more detailed and amazing looking battle mats. Look at this cave. Look at this cave. I mean, highly detailed. Check this thing out. I mean, it's got some amazing detailed maps on the inside that really help you visualize what the actual campaign setting looks like for your party or whatever you're playing through, the dungeon that you're in, the wilderness you're walking through, what the campsite looks like. That is all here in these battle maps. Now, these battle maps are made by a company called 𝐿OKE, L-O-K-E, and you can purchase their battle maps all over the place. They don't just have the giant book of battle maps, though. They also have the little book of battle maps, and they also have just the book of battle maps. So pick whichever one is right for you and use these things to spice up your game, because I think they're going to help a lot of people out the more people that hear about them. They're so cool. And first of all, I am not sponsored by any of the products I'm going to be showing today. I'm not sponsored by anyone. I just really want to show off some cool products that I use in my games and at my tables. Okay, so up next, I kind of want to go into something that's more useful for virtual tabletop users or someone who's just looking for inspiration as a DM. So this is going to be digital content, and that's going to be little changes to your campaign settings. So we all know that we can get our official books to run in the Forgotten Realms, to run in Eberron, Ravnica, Tal'Dorei, all of those really cool settings, but sometimes you get tired of the high fantasy. Sometimes you want a little change up to your game, and let me introduce you to Pokemon 5th edition. Now, there are some really cool supplements that have been made out there for this, but none like what I found whenever I entered the D&D Reddit and saw for the first time Pokemon 5e. It's an entire player's handbook with, I think, the first 1 to 6 generations. You know, I'll correct it if something's wrong with that. Tons and tons of online supplements. As you can see on the screen, they've got stat blocks for all kinds of different Pokemon from all the different generations. They've got stories written out, little modules. This is just a really cool addition to your game to kind of spice it up, to get a change of pace for a while. There are catching mechanics for the Pokemon. There are story and plot hooks. So much for you to get into here and create your own little Pokemon 5e campaign using 5th edition campaign rules. I love the idea of running around with my little partner Piplup and catching and going out and battling and catching and beating other trainers. I mean, I have play tested this a couple of times and I had a blast with it. Sadly, the group that I was playing with did not get to finish out the campaign that we were working on, but we had a lot of fun with it while it lasted. On the same topic of Pokemon 5e and just these kind of online supplements that third-party creators have made, I would also like to introduce you to the Dark Matter campaign supplement. Dark Matter is a sci-fi campaign setting, but without the high fantasy that Spelljammer also just comes along with. Dark Matter is a very well thought out Milky Way galaxy campaign setting, and it's so cool. Like, reading through here, you get all kinds of different factions and groups, different story hooks and different planets, like all kinds of cool rules, laser guns, new races, new subclasses. All of this takes your really cool high fantasy game and turns it into a spacefaring escapade through the Milky Way galaxy. So if you're looking for more of a sci-fi spin-off that you don't want to take from Spelljammer, or you don't want to get into Starfinder, why don't you check out the Dark Matter campaign setting? Use all your 5th edition rules and just use these as an extra supplement. Now, I feel it shouldn't be a secret, but I love Kobold Press. Kobold Press is one of the bigger third-party creators online. I've checked out their website before, and they have so many supplements for 5th edition campaigns. Anything from additional subclasses, things like Tasha's and Xanathar's expansions, all the way to their monster manuals, as well as entire campaigns that they've written on their own. I haven't gotten a chance to run their campaigns, but I have picked a few up and read through them, and let me tell you, high quality stuff. The one I think I'm going to be running here soon is Courts of the Shadowfae. Now, they have all kinds of different dark fantasy setting stuff coming out, and they even have their own Midgard setting where all of this takes place. Think more Norse mythology, gods living among people, clockwork inventions, things like that, noir and dark fantasy. Very fun stuff. Courts of the Shadowfae is one of many amazing campaigns that Kobold Press has come out with. They have amazing art on the inside of these books, as well as really good writing. Just, it should be no secret if you've listened to my podcast, Table Talk Friday, a D&D podcast, that we've been disappointed with some of the recent first-party releases from Wizards of the Coast, and Kobold Press kind of scratches that itch for campaigns that feel well written and thought out. I'll go ahead and say Courts of the Shadowfae is a 7th to 10th level adventure, but they have adventures for all different kinds and all different levels of play, as well as multiple expansions for your D&D repertoire. Now, this is the Tome of Beasts. They also have the Creature Codex, the Tome of Beasts, and the Tome of Beasts 2, which is the one I'm holding right here. I have all the rest on my shelf over there, but the Tome of Beasts are entire monster manuals written for your viewing pleasure. I mean, these things are just chock full of really creative, really cool monsters and the lore surrounding them. Something that I was a little disappointed for with Monsters of the Multiverse is I would get these cool monsters and not really a whole lot of ways to use them. And a lot of them were just, refreshes from other books we'd gotten in the past. These are fully original, written in monsters and places you can find them, ways you can use them in your campaign. I'm a huge fan of these monster manuals and will probably never run out of monsters to use now. Now, I've been buying the pocket editions of these. They're like little smaller sized versions, but there are also full-size hardback versions of each of these as well. And last but not least, while I'm shilling for Kobold Press right now, let me introduce you to, come on, the Tome of Heroes. The Tome of Heroes is so cool. I've read through this thing, and it comes with a ton of new races, subclasses, spells, all kinds of new written in rules for you to use in your campaign, including gun rules that are far better than the ones that Wizards of the Coast has come out with. The Tome of Heroes is super cool, and while I would say some of the options seem a little unbalanced, there are some errata that have been coming out on Kobold Press's website. That way you can kind of, nerf and buff what you need to. There are a lot of really cool subclasses in here. The Druid Circle of Bees, the Bard College of Investigation, the Rogue, like a Divine Blades, almost kind of like a Rogue Paladin without having to take the Paladin class, which is super cool. Yeah, there's a lot of really cool subclass options in here, as well as new races to play as and spells. I mean, you're basically getting a full expansion in this tiny little book. And I say tiny, but I believe it's still... yeah, it's over 300 pages of material you're getting in this pocket edition. So check out the Tome of Heroes. I believe the pocket edition releases sometime really soon, and you can go ahead and buy the hardback on their website now. All of that said, third-party supplements can be some of the best additions to your Dungeons & Dragons game, and I hope that in time, Wizards' quality will come up to meet some of the quality that we're getting out of these third-party supplements lately. I like walking into comic stores, Barnes & Noble, wherever I can find anything D&D related, and when I walk in, I'm always thinking, okay, well, what weird, wacky third-party stuff am I going to find today? Look forward to more of these videos in the future as I continue to walk in comic stores and buy whatever I can find, and I will see you guys next time.